Want to find out what the complete skill tree looks like for AMARA, the brand new character in Borderlands 3? Well, stay tuned for today's video. We're going to go over each individual skill tree, the Brawler, Mystical Assault, and Fist of Elements. This is LaserBolt and welcome to today's video, guys. I am extremely excited to bring this amazing news to you guys because I have every single detail in regards to the AMARA skill tree. We're going to go over Brawler, Mystical Assault, and Fist of Element. So without further ado, guys, I know you guys are as excited as I am and want to see what this new skill tree has to offer. Let's dive in and take a look. Alright, so let's take a look at the Brawl skill tree. We're going to start off with the face one, which is called Face Slam. This is an augment. It says AMARA leaps into the air and slams ground, dealing damage to all nearby enemies and knocking them up. One with Nature, passive ability. AMARA gains increased max health and elemental damage resistance to her action skill element. Personal Space, passive ability. AMARA's weapon shots deals bonus damage based on the distance to her target. The closer the target, the greater the bonus. Clarity. AMARA constantly regenerates health. The lower her health, the more powerful the regeneration. After using an action skill, this bonus is doubled for a few seconds. Arms Deal, passive ability. AMARA deals increased splash damage and takes reduced splash damage. Root to Rise, passive ability. AMARA gains increased max health. Helping Hands, passive ability. For a few seconds after using her action skill, AMARA's arm remains active and grants her damage reduction. Blight Tiger, augment. Converts AMARA's action skill to corrosive damage. This does not take effect until AMARA uses her action skill. Fracture, which is an augment. AMARA summons a handful of fists that erupt from the ground, dealing damage to enemies in front of AMARA. Mindfulness, passive ability. Whenever AMARA takes damage, she gains a stack of Mindfulness. For every stack of Mindfulness, AMARA gains improved shield regeneration delay and movement speed. Stack decay after a few seconds. Find Your Center, passive ability. AMARA gains increased melee damage. Additionally, for a few seconds after using her action skill, AMARA gains increased melee range. Vigor, passive ability. Killing an enemy with AMARA's action skill grants all allies increased movement speed for a few seconds. This effect stacks up. Revelation, augment. AMARA's action skill now creates a nova when it damages enemies, dealing damage to all nearby enemies. Downfall, augment. AMARA leaps into the air and shoots an elemental beam below her briefly, followed by a slam. Samarra, passive ability. Whenever AMARA deals damage to an enemy with her action skill, she adds a stack of Samarra. For every stack of Samarra, AMARA gains increased gun damage and health regeneration for a few seconds. Stacks decay after a few seconds. Do Unto Others, passive ability. Whenever an enemy damages AMARA, she automatically throws an energy orb back at them. Dealing action skill elemental damage, this skill has a short cooldown. Jab Cross, passive ability. Whenever AMARA deals melee damage to an enemy, she gains increased action skill damage and increases weapon damage for a few seconds. Guardian Angel, passive ability. Whenever AMARA enters Flight for Life, she immediately gains a second wind, restores her health, and creates an action skill elemental nova that knocks back nearby enemies. This skill has a long cooldown. Glamour, augment. Enemies damaged by AMARA's action skill become confused and temporarily attack their allies. However, action skill cooldown is increased. If AMARA targets an enemy with face grasp, enemies near the grasp target are confused as well. Blitz, passive ability. Melee Overdrive. Press the melee button to make AMARA dash a short distance forward and perform a special melee strike, dealing elemental melee damage. If a blitz melee attack kills an enemy, blitz cooldown is immediately reset. Now let's take a look at Mystical Assaults. Phase Cast Augment. AMARA sends forward an astral projection of herself, dealing damage to everything in its path. Do Harm. Passive ability. Killing an enemy grants AMARA a stack of Rush. Activating her action skill consumes all Rush stack. For every stack of Rush consumed, AMARA's action skill damage is temporarily increased. Fast Hands. Passive ability. AMARA reload speed, weapon swap speed, and mode switch speed are improved. Violent Tapestry. Passive ability. Applying an elemental effect grants AMARA a stack of Rush. Activating her action skill consumes all Rush stack. For every stack of Rush consumed, AMARA's elemental effect chance is 10. Alacrity. Passive ability. AMARA gains increased reload speed for every stack of Rush. After consuming Rush stacks, this bonus is increased for a few seconds. Transcend. Passive ability. AMARA gains increased accuracy and critical hit bonus for a few seconds after activating her action skill. Restless. Passive ability. AMARA gains increased action skill cooldown rate. Soul Sap. Augment. A portion of all damage dealt by AMARA's action skill is returned to her or a nearby ally as health. Reverberation. Augment. AMARA sends forward an astral projection of herself, dealing damage to everything in its path. Astral projection deal increased damage for every enemy it hits. Ascended. Passive ability. All action skill augment gain increased effects. Stillness of Mind. Augment. Enemies damaged by AMARA's action skill become face locked until they are damaged or the duration ends. However, action skill cooldown is increased. If AMARA targets an enemy with face grasp, enemies near the grasp targets are face locked. Deliverance. Augment. AMARA sends forward an astral projection of herself, dealing damage to everything in its path. Whenever AMARA's astral projection hits an enemy, it releases homing elemental projectiles that trigger her action skill element effect on enemies. From Rest. Passive ability. AMARA gains improved fire rate and charge time. Laid Bare. Passive ability. Enemies take increased damage from all sources for a few seconds after being damaged by AMARA's action skill. Wrath. Passive ability. AMARA gains increased gun damage. This effect is increased after she activates her action skill for a few seconds. Remnant. Passive ability. When AMARA kills an enemy with a gun or action skill, she creates a homing projectile that seeks out a new enemy, dealing her action skill elemental damage. Any overkill damage is added to the projectile damage. Awakening. Passive ability. AMARA rush stack gain increased effectiveness. Tandeva. Augment. AMARA sends forward an astral projection of herself. Whenever it hits a target, it explodes, damaging all nearby enemies. Avatar. Passive ability. AMARA's action skill can be activated while it's cooling down. This skill may only be used once per completed cooldown, additionally increasing AMARA's max rush stack. Now let's take a look at Fist of the Elements. Face Grasp. Augment. AMARA summons a giant fist that bursts from the ground and locks the target enemy in place for a few seconds. Some enemies are immune to being grasped and instantly take damage instead. Anima. Passive ability. AMARA's elemental effect deals increased damage over time and have increased duration. Her action skill elemental effect deals further increased damage. Steady Hands. Passive ability. AMARA gains increased weapon handling and accuracy. Infusion. Passive ability. Convert a portion of damage dealt by AMARA's weapon into her action skill element. Tempest. Passive ability. AMARA deals increased elemental damage. Shock damage is further increased. Illuminated Fist, passive ability. AMARA gains increased melee damage, and her melee damage is converted to her action skill element. Wildfire, passive ability. Whenever AMARA applies an elemental effect to an enemy, it has a chance to spread to a nearby enemy. Soulfire, Augment, converts AMARA's action skill to fire damage. This does not take effect until AMARA uses her action skill. The Eternal Fist, Augment. AMARA summons a giant fist that bursts from the ground and locks the target enemy in place for a few seconds. Whenever the grasped enemy is killed, up to 3 new targets can be sought out and grasped. Dread. AMARA's gun damage is increased for a few seconds after an enemy is grasped. Whenever a player kills a grasped enemy, their current weapon is instantly reloaded. Indiscriminate, passive ability. AMARA's bullets that damage enemies have a chance to ricochet and deal decreased damage to other nearby enemies. Ricochet chance and damage are increased if the target is currently affected by face grasp or stillness of mind. Deep Well, passive ability. AMARA gains increased magazine size with elemental weapons. Catharsis, passive ability. Whenever AMARA triggers an element effect on an enemy when the enemy dies. Catharsis, passive ability. Whenever AMARA triggers an elemental effect on an enemy, when the enemy dies, that enemy explodes, dealing her attuned element damage along with any other element that is currently inflicted upon that enemy. This skill has a short cooldown. Tides that Bind, Augment. AMARA summons a giant fist that bursts from the ground and locks the target enemy in place for a few seconds. Enemies near the grasp target are linked, and any damage dealt to a linked target is shared between all other linked targets. Fist over Matter, Augment. AMARA summons a giant fist that bursts from the ground and locks the target enemy in place for a few seconds. After grasping the target enemy, large fists appear and constantly smash the area, dealing damage to nearby enemies. Sustainment, passive ability. AMARA gains lifesteal whenever she deals elemental damage with her weapon. Conflux, passive ability. Whenever AMARA applies an elemental effect to an enemy, she gains a chance to randomly electrocute, burn, or melt the enemy. Forceful Expression. AMARA gun deals bonus elemental damage based on her action skill element. And of course, as you guys know, when you guys have everything unlocked, you'll be able to pick which type of element you want. So you're able to get an attack component, you're able to get an effect component, and you're also able to act an elemental component within your skill tree. And there you guys have it. That is the complete skill tree for AMARA. I will have the complete skill tree for all the other characters, so make sure you guys stay tuned to the channel to stay up to date to everything that has to do within the world of Borderlands. Don't forget, guys, I will be at the live event bringing you guys exclusive gameplay, so make sure you guys stay tuned to the channel. Also, make sure you guys follow me on Twitch so you guys can earn yourself some free Borderlands 3 free loot only by watching my stream that goes live this Wednesday. I hope you did find this video helpful and informative. If you did, do me the huge favor, guys. Drop a like, share this video with your friends because that does help me out a lot. Don't forget, guys, if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you guys can know exactly when new Borderlands videos go live. If you're already a subscriber and are not getting notifications, just double check that that bell is ticked so you guys can get notified when Borderlands videos go live as well. In addition to that, guys, if you ever want to stop by, have some fun, or just watch amazing gameplay, definitely do consider following us on Twitch. We stream very frequently, so make sure you guys hit us up with that follow so you guys can know exactly when we go live. Thank you guys for watching, and don't forget WGATAP, and I will catch you guys on the next video.